I'm Michael Bain, and welcome to Triggered, coming to you as always from the secret hidden bunker in the Rocky Mountains and Dragon House Studios. And hey, I just got back to Colorado from the NRA show in Houston, and this year's show it felt to me substantially smaller than shows I've seen in the past. Of course, you have numerous reasons for that. Having a show on Memorial Day weekend, one of the biggest holidays, right before the summer in the United States, maybe not the best place to put the show. NRA's ongoing legal troubles, lots of demonstrators out there this time. So all of those dampened the attendance just a little bit. But there were still thousands, tens and thousands of people there. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the show itself, but also I want to show you this gun, which is one of the major introductions at the NRA show this year. This is from our long-term sponsor, Taurus, and it is an 856 executive grade gun. Typically, you don't see a lot of manufacturers introducing new product at the NRA show, partly because it's the wrong time of the year to introduce products. I was told by a lot of manufacturers there that they're seeing gun sales plateau just a little bit, and maybe they're anticipating what we might think of as a traditional summer drop in sales. But Taurus decided to introduce a couple of new guns here, and this one, if you saw Shooting Gallery this season, you may have been the very first people to actually see this gun, because when I was at FTW Ranch with Brett Voorhees, who of course is the new head of Taurus, came from Walther. One of the things that Brett wanted to show me was a new revolver. And he basically just handed it to me and he goes, "Hey, Michael, take this to the range and shoot it," which I did. And I said, "Wow, this is a step up." He goes, "That's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what we're hoping to do with the concept of the executive grade." So if you remember, here on Triggered, we spent a lot of time with the Taurus 856 Defender, which is a 6-shot, 38 Special plus P revolver, 3-inch barrel. And one of the reasons we spent as much time with that gun as we did is that's one of the first guns at Taurus that came from you guys, that came from the consumers. One of the things that Brett did when he came on board was said, "Hey, what do you guys want? What do you want to see in guns?" And a surprising number of people said, "Hey, we're really on board with this revolver renaissance, but a 3-inch snub is a lot easier to shoot than a 2-inch snub," which is because of, as Joe Biden might say, physics. Not just a good idea. The law. Much easier to shoot. 38 Special plus P, a lot easier to handle than a 357. So Taurus did the 856 Defender. And it's been a hugely popular gun, so much so that over the last couple of years, they developed it into a line where you have 3-inch and 2-inch Defenders. You also have your choice of stainless steel or alloy, or I'm sorry, stainless steel or aluminum frame. Aluminum frames maybe, call it 8 ounces lighter. So when Brett decided to go to, say, a factory custom version of the gun, his first choice was the 856. Now, what's different about this gun? The first thing, and as you know, I'm a factory nerd, I'm a manufacturing nerd. What an odd thing to be. But the first thing is that Brett changed the way this gun was made. It's made in, think of it as like a cell, a closed production suite, where the people in that suite are 100% responsible for how the gun comes out. That's the way you make the best guns in the world, whether it's European shotguns or, hey, any gun where you need precision, you need something really special. That type production suite, that type spells. You can tell I've been on the road a long time, but that type production suite, that type cell is the way it delivers the very best products. When we come back, we're going to talk about some function features. I'm going to show you a couple of other things as well. Welcome back to Triggered. And first thing I want to show you about this gun, the Taurus 856 executive grade, is look at the finish. It is hand polished to a very smooth satin finish. And that doesn't make it just look good. It gives it a different tactile feel. I know you're thinking like, oh, come on, Michael. All gun finishes feel the same. Trust me, I felt a lot of guns that is not the case. You see here that this is designed as a concealed carry gun. This hammer, obviously, double action only hammer here. We have the ramped front sight, makes it a little bit easier to draw from the holster. Magazine release, a Smith & Wesson style, if you will, a push forward, but it's designed so you can work it without having to break your firing grip on the gun. Trigger pull is excellent. As you know, one of the issues with snubs is their trigger pulls generally, oh, how do you say this, suck. This one doesn't. Obviously, it's been hand fitted. Obviously, it's smooth. There's a little stack as it moves through, but not so much that you would notice, and not that it's going to affect actually the firing of the gun. Grips, these are Altamont wood grips on it. Altamont custom wood grips specifically for this gun. I don't have a speed loader for it right now. All I have is GP100 speed loaders, which are a notch up. Essentially, they're L-frame Smith & Wesson. This gun takes the traditional HKS, which is K-frame speed loaders. I have one on the way, a couple of them, in fact, and we'll work with it there. The gun feels good. The gun shoots good. The gun comes with this case. This is a Pelican Vault, by the way. This is a really genuine, profoundly good gun case. And by the way, when you open it up, obviously it has this wonderful piece of cut foam for the revolver in it. But it's also got this note from the boss. You've been promoted. Believe me, I've been waiting to get one of these for years. This is a superior revolver. The one I shot at FTW, which was the prototype of the gun, shot great. Shot absolutely super. I'm looking forward to putting this guy through the hoops. But I want to show you a couple of things really quickly, holster-wise. I touch base with my friends at Tactical. Now, we all know a lot of Kydex benders. By the way, this is Botoran, which is Kydex's tougher older brother. But we all know a lot of Kydex benders. But I've known these guys for a couple of years. I've made some suggestions on their holsters, and those suggestions have been incorporated. They've also been working with Taurus to make sure they have the full line of Taurus holsters. They even have some Taurus branded holsters. This is for the Defender 2-inch. They did not have their 3-inch holster at the show. However, you can see, fits in perfect. The holsters of this series are IWB, but also with this strip, which is one of the things that I suggested that they make some changes with, you can turn this into an outside the waistband holster from an inside the waistband holster. And it's appropriately priced. It's at a price you can't afford. You know, when you're looking at mid-range guns, you don't want to be looking at holsters that cost about the same as the gun. But I still use my Tactical stuff. I think it's a very, very good holster, a good choice. If you want to preserve these wonderful wood grips, and I do this sometimes because I'm really hard on guns. So I'm like, oh man, I would feel really guilty ruining something that was beautiful. So VZ, of course, makes 856 grips. I love VZ, the G10 grips that they make. And I happen to actually have a set lying around the house. How about that? But to me, this is a major commitment from Taurus. It's a major step up. You know, Brett Voorhees told me what he was going to do when he came into the company. And as near as I can tell, he's done it. I'm looking forward to going down to Bainbridge, sitting down with Brett, sitting down with his new management team, some of whom came from Walther along with Brett, and see what else is coming. I've got a couple of new introductions to show you over the next few weeks. But when Triggered returns, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset. This week's Triggered is brought to you by Armscore Rock Island Armory. What's your passion? Taurus USA. Always ready, always bring it. Hunter's HD Gold shooting glasses. They change so you don't have to. And SDS imports the TSUS PX9. TSUS means quality. Welcome back to Triggered. And before you ask me, we're looking at $680, $690 range for the executive grade versus say $420 to $450 for your regular 856 Defender. After a couple of days of rest, I promise you, I'll be 100% back to normal. As you know, we've been ending every Triggered with just a little bit on your best defense. A lot of material that you've heard on the MBTV on the Radio podcast, Downrange podcast over the years, but there are things I want to focus on here. And today, how I want to close this show is I want to talk a little bit about will. That means will, the willingness to do something, is more important than almost all the other steps leading up to it. It doesn't matter what firearm you carry. It doesn't matter what folding knife you carry. It doesn't matter what bludgeon you carry. It doesn't matter what your training is. It doesn't matter if you've got a spreadsheet with all your training on it for the last 2 years and it's absolutely amazing, or you've had one-day class. What matters in the end is will. And when I think about will, I think about something that Gabe Suarez said to me years and years back. Gabe said, you know what, Michael? Here's what it comes down to. Some point, you need to sit down with yourself and say, what am I willing to be injured for? Maybe spend the rest of my life in the hospital. What am I willing to go to jail for? Maybe this event is going to result in me having to go to jail. What am I willing to die for? Because when you carry a lethal weapon, those are questions that you may have to answer. If you're involved in a situation, you will have to answer those questions. What are you willing to be injured for? What are you willing to go to jail for? What are you willing to die for? Because as we've seen over the last week, the last hellish week, if you're not willing to die for it, it doesn't matter. All your training doesn't matter. All the neat toys you have don't matter. So, I'm just going to reiterate what Gabe said. You're going to need to sit down in a dark room and have a discussion with yourself and answer those 3 questions. Because if you postpone it, should you have the horrible luck to be in a situation where the balloon goes up, all of a sudden you're in it and you don't know the answers to those 3 questions, nothing good is going to happen. I'm Michael Bain. This is Triggered. You can find us at michaelbain.tv, where we're always free. You can also find the MBTV on the Radio podcast there and all our back episodes. It is a tremendous resource of firearms information. You can find us on YouTube. You can also find us on Rumble. So until next week, think about that time for yourself to answer the hard questions and stay safe out there.